we're going. Hi. Welcome to Happy Hour with Ruth and Roxy.
I'm Ruth, and clearly that's Roxy, and I forgot my name again. And you know, I have had one sip of wine, so I'm not sure how that happened.
It's not the wine's fault. So we're just going to give you a little warning here. I don't know if you heard that truck going by, but there's a guy that goes by in his truck every day, at least once or twice, sometimes 3 times a day, with a dog in the back that barks all the way down the road. But that's not the barking I'm talking about, because we're looking after our oldest daughter's two...
Not our oldest daughter, their oldest daughter.
Yes, we don't have children together. And
we have a podcast.
We do. We've given birth to a podcast. Finley and Cali are absolutely adorable little dogs. Finn's at my feet, but I call him... Sweet. I have several names for him. Finley is the polite one, and... Smoke detector is the other one, because carbon monoxide detector doesn't roll off the tongue. And when he gets going, he sounds like a friggin'... Well, car alarm is the other name that I call him, because it's a...
He's a talker.
He's a talker, and he's got a lot of social anxiety. Social anxiety? Separation anxiety.
He's got social anxiety.
Social anxiety.
He's met me 4 billion times. Well,
oh, yeah.
I mean, he's only, how old, a year old now?
Lost his mind when she came over. But
he did. And it's like, so I think he has social anxiety. It's like, what are you doing?
New?
Why?
Something new? He's totally fine as long as he's with somebody, preferably in physical contact all the time.
He's a cuddly dog.
And when he's not, then he sits outside the door and acts like someone forgot to put batteries in a very important implement.
Or maybe they put supercharged batteries in. And
yeah.
He's a bit like the Energizer Bunny, but louder.
Way loud. Yeah, and it's that piercing thing that
it's like a terrier bark. He's not a terrier.
Oh,
though,
no, he's a mini dachshund. You'll find out.
You will find out.
He's going to hop up at some point.
And he is really sweet. But it's just like when I was leaving, because for those of you who might not know, we live next door to each other. As I was leaving, Scruffy, our terrier, right, thought we were coming over here, because when I put things in a bag and I usually get a bottle of wine and I start doing, he came running out and he was barking, and his bark, it's like it slices into your eardrums.
He's got a similar kind of bark.
Yeah, sharp, very sharp. At least
stops eventually. Finn's doesn't really.
Finn's just finding how
he is a youngster. Still,
he is, and he's finding sort of how many barks gets attention.
Yes,
you know what I mean.
Right.
Like he's kind of figuring out his way in the world. I get that.
Yep. And as many people have said, including my husband, who's seen a lot of different dogs of different breeds, dachshunds are gifted in many, many ways, particularly in cuteness.
And this one is a hairy one.
Yeah, he's a long-haired mini. And he's a blue merle, too, which is lovely. But intelligence, I would say, is not one of their gifts. Is that the kind way to say it? Not really. But you know what? It is what it is. But you don't get them for that.
No,
you don't get them for that
that's
reason.
just it.
You get poodles for that reason.
You're not asking them to work or to do agility training, because they got little short legs.
Oh yeah, no agility. But agility would be fun to watch.
It's like every dog, like every person, I think, right?
Yep.
Like they have their gifts.
Yep.
And maybe smartest tool in the shed is not one of the gifts.
You know, smart dogs are more challenging to live with. I will give you that, because they require more. But dumb dogs are challenging in a different way. Yeah. And I will say, like, he's super cuddly, and I let them into the room in the morning, or my husband lets them into the room in the morning when he's, walking Luna and doing his thing with her, because they're super cuddly, and they will shut up and just lie down beside me
when they're happy.
And curl up. Yeah.
So, right. Like when they're
So I told my daughter, and she's like, "Oh, we don't let them on the beds at home." And I went, "Granny's rules, man.
Too late now, man.
If you bring them to my house, stuff's going to happen." I'm sweating.
It's hot out.
It's hot.
It's hot.
Okay, let's tell them what we're drinking.
Okay.
Well, first of all, I'll tell you what I'm drinking and why.
We're drinking
You'll
different
notice
things.
that this is not the same. This is called Bask, and I'm feeling very sorry for myself today, because this is not exactly wine. But it is.
It's not exactly not wine.
It's not wine. It's a 5% wine, and this is a red one, and it doesn't taste bad. It's called Rosé Wine Spritz with a hint of strawberry, and I can smell the strawberry. There's an aftertaste of strawberry too. And the reason is, I hurt my back last week, and that's why I'm feeling sorry for myself, and I'm on painkillers and muscle relaxants, which don't mix super well with wine. So I'm going to take it easy on that today.
So it might be a little test.
Not for long.
Sober Roxanne, tipsy Ruth. We'll see how that goes.
I don't know if sober. I've got enough Advil on board, and there is some muscle relaxant left over.
Non-wine tipsy. Let's see,
Yeah,
because Advil might give you a different.
Advil, I don't like Advil. It makes me feel weird. I don't like it. Also, my stomach doesn't like it, but it
that's
seems
not
to
good.
be living with it now. So
Yep. Okay, so
anyway, and you are drinking.
I'm drinking. It's called the Winemakers House, and it's from Oliver. I have no idea. This was in my fridge, so I'm either assuming someone brought it over when
Probably.
they came or something.
Yep.
And
Probably.
it says it's a Pinot Grigio, and it's got gentle notes of tropical fruits and a light, refreshing finish. It's good, but I can't figure out because the wine is called the Winemakers House, but nowhere on that does it say the winemaker. On the back it says
The
care
winery.
of artisan wine. So I'm going to do a little bit of research and I'll put it in the notes. But I mean,
Yeah.
it's good. It's
Like,
nice
where
that you
does
want to
it-
sip.
So you can't see where it
says
comes from.
Oliver.
Oh, Oliver.
But it
so-
doesn't say.
okay. Yeah. I'll have a
Yeah.
sip.
Oh, blend from imported and domestic wines. So
Ooh,
it's
it smells
probably
good.
somebody that doesn't grow their grapes, right? They import the grapes. But it's a
Well,
nice
that's not
light.
bad.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's a nice light thing.
Yep.
But it's good. Okay, we have a lot to talk about.
We actually do. Yeah. While I sit here and sweat, I don't know if that's going to show up on this.
We should get you a fan.
A fan. Yes. I'll settle down. I'll have some ice water.
Yeah.
That'll help.
And it is quite warm.
It's I think 30. It was supposed to be 30
Yeah.
degrees today. I don't know if it is.
But it's definitely warm out. So, I mean, I don't know if we actually have a cruise update, although I did get the dates wrong. It's September 8th we're going, not August 8th, because August 8th was like 2 days ago.
Yeah, I was listening to the rough, or you had edited it
Yep.
already, and I was just going over it, and I'm like, hold on, August? Nope. Not
If
August.
that was the case, then we should have been in Seattle 48 hours ago.
Then we would have missed our cruise, and this would not be a very happy podcast.
So anyway, we're going,
over.
and we're going to do at least one episode, maybe even two. We'll see how it goes. But for sure, we're going to do little vignettes for travel because we want to see what you all think about us doing these travel. We're interested in doing it, so we'll probably do it anyway. However, we'd like you to give us feedback on what you'd prefer to see, and we're going to. So maybe this time, let us know. Alaska, I will put on the Facebook page. I will put up the cruise ports because I was going to put them up for the show notes this time, except we had too many
ran out
words
of
and I had
space.
to take it out for the show notes on YouTube. But maybe I can put the whole thing up on Facebook, the show
that
notes.
should work.
So,
Yeah.
but we'll see what you're interested in hearing about from those places, and I mean it's pretty exciting. It's our first podcast cruise, although we did some when we were away.
We did
like some
podcasting
practice.
in. Where were we? Was that Corfu?
We were in Corfu, and we did a lot we did one on the ship, and I think that was Corfu, right?
I think it was Corfu.
And you did
yeah.
a couple of little live.
Yeah, we did a couple
No.
small things, and the audio was a real challenge for us there because it
Yeah.
was super windy that day,
and it was really crowded because everybody was back on the ship then.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
So hopefully we can. I mean, it's a ship. It's going to be crowded in
Yeah.
Alaska too, but
yeah.
we'll see what we can
But
do.
we could do it on our balcony too.
Yes,
If we have pretty views, maybe we'll do that.
Yeah.
On the sea day.
all bundled up.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Sounds
So
really
If you've been
good-
on an
good
Alaska
right
cruise,
now.
please tell us in September what we should wear, because it seems
Yeah.
cold. We had friends, our friends Kelly and Jeff. Kelly's the person that owns the Urban Rack, who's a stylist, and she
What's
she
your
said it
Insta
was
handle?
cold.
Styled by Kaylee.
Styled by Kaylee. We'll put that.
Oh,
She's fabulous.
she's
She's going to
amazing.
come on and help style us. Oh, you guys can't see it, but a little dog was just so hot and tired. She
Oh,
just
she
threw
just
herself
flaked
down.
out.
Yeah, it's good. But one of the things Roxanne and I have talked about, because we're pretty compatible and we're good friends, but we're different.
Mm-hmm.
So we were talking about, because we're going to be in the same cabin on the cruise, we are talking about being good travel companions.
Yeah,
right.
good roommates.
Yeah, and I mean it's pretty funny because I think I'm going to bring a little sign that says, "I'm cranky, don't bother me. I'm sleepy, don't talk to me. I need some time alone," and we can just pin them up, right?
Yeah.
Because we also are good alone and need alone time.
Yep. Yeah.
Right. So you want to make sure. But I was thinking about because sometimes it doesn't matter the level of friendship. Some people you just can't travel with.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
like, and
that's
it's
true.
not, it says nothing about your relationship. You just have different styles.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. Because anytime you spend a lot of time with anybody, you're going to learn things about them. And I mean, we're both in very happy marriages, and our husbands are both golfing right now. We're super happy that they're doing that. Like, we don't want
Yeah.
to be even with the people that we will love for the rest of our lives all the time. Like, we really don't.
No, and I don't think anybody does. Like, I think
No.
that's part of it is because, you know, and I don't think it's just because of age, but I do think everybody has their way of doing things. And I think one of the reasons we do travel well, because this isn't our first trip. I mean, now it's 4 or 5 trips we've been on together,
Yeah.
right? We've been to Kelowna a couple times. We went to
We've done 2
Mexico.
cruises.
Yeah, with that cruises. But I also think it's, you have to sort of read the room. Mm-hmm. And you might be all excited for something, and if the first thing you get is I'm a little tired. For me, I'm like, hey, I'm good, I can go.
Right.
Right?
Yes,
Whereas
exactly.
others, I've traveled with others, and again, this isn't a slag about them as humans, but they're like, oh, come with me.
Right.
And it's like,
Right.
okay, I don't want to.
Yeah. So now you're asking me to do something I don't want to do.
Yes.
So sometimes, for whatever reason, you'll put on your big girl generous pants and say, you know what, I think I'll do that for whatever reason.
Right.
Sometimes it's worthwhile, but there has to be that understanding that I'm doing, and it doesn't have to be said out loud, but you have to recognize that this is something you're doing for someone else.
Yes.
And if it's reciprocal, I would say that's fine. Like if you're, but then I would wonder, why are you traveling together if you
not the
neither
same
one of
things.
you wants to do the same things?
And I also think like I get up earlier, so my approach would be to get up and either go on the balcony where I don't disturb you, and like go up, get coffee, go on the balcony and work, or if it's cold, I'll take my laptop and go somewhere because I can, you know, check Facebook, catch up on news, do a little bit of work. And so, but instead of sitting in the bed and doing it where you can hear me click, because I even do it if Paul's sleeping on the cruise, right? Just because I am very aware that, and sleep should be another thing we should talk about sometime about, you know, but I'm very aware that not everybody finds it easy to either get to sleep or go back to sleep, right? And so I'm very conscious of that. Now, for me, I actually don't care because if I'm actually, I have a hard time getting to sleep, but once I am asleep, as long as I don't get, you know, restless legs, I can, if people walking around and stuff, I could just pull the covers over my head, right? I'm okay. It doesn't bother me, but for some people, like that's like, oh, a good sleep got interrupted, right? And but I think it's just being careful, because sometimes people might be like, hey, I want to do this. And my response might be, yeah, that's not really for me. And then if they say, oh, you might like it because here's X, X, and X, right? And then it's like, oh, maybe I should try. Like, you become curious.
Sometimes there's a difference, and it depends a little bit on why you don't want to do the thing. And if somebody gives you more information, or maybe you do need to be nudged out of your comfort zone. Yeah. I find I'm pretty aware. My comfort zone was a lot smaller when I was younger. And I probably needed to be nudged a little bit more. Now my comfort zone, I would say, is bigger, and I'm more comfortable doing a lot of things. Yep. And if I don't want to do it, there's probably a reason for it. But still, sometimes, like, I mean, I'm pretty open to trying things. And
that I think probably why we travel well. But the other thing goes back to reading the room.
Yes.
Right? It is like, if it's like, no, I really don't want to. Like, there's a tone that especially if you know somebody. Yeah. There's a tone, right? There's I'm not sure. Or that. But I think being a good travel companion really is just making sure you're aware of all the things that somebody might be feeling tired, or they might be stressed about something that maybe you don't even know about. But I also think it is being able to say, hey, I know you want to do this. I'm going to go with you. Is that okay? You know what I mean? Or the other side is, oh, you want to go have a nap? That's okay. I'm going to go have a drink over here. I'm going to go read my book up here. Yeah. And I have traveled with people who don't want to be alone, though, and that's hard for me.
That's harder. Yeah, I learned long ago to be comfortable in a coffee shop, in a restaurant, by myself, doing my own thing. I always bring a book, but you know, I don't have a problem doing that. But there are definitely people who do.
They're just not comfortable, right? Yeah. But for me, that puts a layer of pressure on me, because if the stuff I want to do isn't what they want to do, then it always felt like, and this is what I take on, not what they, right? But then I always felt like, well, I should better do what they want to do, because I'm more like, I'm really curious. So often I'll be like, I'll go. I never thought of that. I'll go. But for some people, they're like, no. Yeah. And then so you feel this obligation, and it's an interesting thing. But even how you travel in, not worrying about, you know, it's like, our luggage will get to the room when it gets to the room. Other people are like, where's our luggage? I need to go check it. You know, it's just, it's a different thing. And it's a bit of a crapshoot sometimes. Yeah. Right? Yeah. You think you can travel with people and you realize you can't.
Yeah, it's true. with most people that we've traveled with, we've done shorter trips before a big one, and that helps. And you and I did that too,
Yep.
right? Like I think our first trip together was to Kelowna for the wine tour. Was that the first one?
Yeah, I
I think
think
it was. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, for the first time we went to Kelowna. Yep.
And we had a blast.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was really fun.
I know I did.
I had
Anyway.
fun. We wouldn't have gone on another one if one of us didn't. So,
Yes.
but we did that, and then we did another one,
Yeah.
and then at one point we had Roxanne partners with us at a house sometimes, and we went to Vancouver to do.
That's right.
To do the release of a Commission of Inquiry report,
Yeah.
and we stayed over, and that was all good, and it made sense, but. And then we went on a week cruise, and then we went on a longer one, and it was, everybody gave each other space though, and I think the more we're talking about this, the fact is, I think it's one thing if somebody, because I'm a stressy arriver, so was Paul to airports, and you and Ray were really accommodating, getting there early when they might not have, right? But you recognize those little things, and if it's not going to really inconvenience you. You accommodate this stuff, right?
Yeah,
like that's just it. But it is my harder thing is somebody who wants the group to go together, but they don't want to do the things you want to do.
Right.
Right. And I don't even think that's it. They're consciously aware that they're doing it. Right.
Yeah, probably not. Probably not. I just marvel at these. We have people in the community who have gone on. Well, good friends of ours went on a 5-week vacation, and they went with a fairly large group. I think there was 12 of them at one point.
Yeah.
12? Maybe
at least 10.
At least 10. And they didn't all do like
everything.
Some of them did 3 weeks of it while another group went on a little bit farther. And I just think that's a way to find out what kind of friendship you have.
Oh yeah.
I don't know that I would do it. And a lot of it was tour guided. So it had to be done as a group or not done at all.
Yeah.
And that I think
and some
be
they did. They went to Tanzania, and some of it was you're out in a safari vehicle, and having been to on safari a couple of times, it like at one time, I'm trying to think if there was. I think I've actually only ever been on safari when it's just us in the vehicle, right? Like it's just either me and Paul or whoever we're with. We went with my niece, who's like my little sister Trina, and her husband and their kids, and then it was Paul and me, and then last time we were with our friend Della. But that many people going out in the safari vehicle, because you're out in this very unfamiliar place, and there's all this stuff going on, and for me, I like to sit and just take it in and be quiet, right? And so it would be one of those, you would have to be like-minded people, honestly, to survive that. Because that's like sitting like this for 7 hours a day, right? Like for them, it was probably 10 days in a row, which is quite a lot, right? I mean, granted, there's elephants and zebras and everything all around you, but it is an interesting thing because you can really like people and you can't travel together. It's just a thing. But that kind of leads us into being a good guest, or when you go to someone's home, or being a good host. Mm-hmm. So tell me so as a host, tell me what you think makes a good guest.
I would say a good guest is someone who kind of put me on the spot there, Ruth. Although I have thought about this actually a little bit because it's changed over the years. And I remember a long, long time ago when our kids were small, we had people over who also had small kids. And it was kind of a nightmare. It was kind of a nightmare because our kids felt, and I mean, kids are immature. It is the nature of childhood. And they were being asked to share.
Also the nature of adulthood sometimes.
It is, yes, that's true. But they were being told a lot of times by a lot of people to share. And at one point, my oldest one was like, we're doing all the sharing. It's our stuff. And they're coming in and they're like, you should share your stuff. Well, they have nothing to share. They're the guests. So the kids were like, it's not fair. And they're wrecking our stuff. And some of them were boys, and our girls would play like this with their little, Playmobil stuff and make little castles and whatever.
Boys would be dropping it off the second floor, right?
Yes, and ripping things off walls it was a great visit, but it was also challenging because so that's with children, and you can only do, so much with kids. And now I'm experiencing that from the point of view of the grandma. And, when they come here, I mean, my kids, generally, they bring the food so food is a good one to talk about, because I think more people now are more aware of dietary restrictions and stuff than they used to be. So I've seen and heard stories where someone comes to the house and then says, "Oh, I can't eat that. What else do you have?" And I'm like, "This is what I made." And I'm not like you as far as like making 5,000 dishes and feeding for an army. I'm like, this is what I made. This is what's there. Yeah. So and now, because we just buy for two of us, if we need more food, we go out and buy it. We don't have it on hand.
Right.
So
you live like Parisians, where you go down and just get what you need for a couple of days, which is really funny because we're in the country. But
so that's really good,
except for when we go to Costco.
Costco is a different thing. But so when my kids come and their kids maybe are just learning to eat food and all that, they bring what they need with them.
And I think that,
and I very much appreciate that.
And I think that's a fair, good guest thing is if there's something out of the norm. And especially if you have kids, because kids are specific, right, about what they will like.
Yeah.
Like, what they will and won't eat. You could have one brand of hot dogs and they don't like that brand, or they like one other specific brand.
Yeah.
And I promise you, they can tell somehow, right?
Oh yeah.
So I think that's and I don't mind accommodating if somebody tells me up front, and mostly for the most part, I mean, vegan I would have a harder time with.
Vegan is tougher
because I don't know how to cook without cheese.
Totally. Cheese is the thing that makes the world
I would
go
have
round.
Vegetarian, and I don't mind if somebody tells me. I think for me, and we used to live on the Sunshine Coast, and we had a house that, I forget what it had, 4 or 5 bedrooms, which makes it was because I don't know why we had it.
So you become the place that everybody comes
Everybody
to stay.
came, and it was really, like, for the most part, it was really fun. But I also remember somebody who was coming, and they were talking to me about it, and so I was like, so tell me, is there anything you don't like, right? Is there anything you can't eat, kind of thing? And they were like, well, actually, about 3 months ago, you made this dish. I'd like you to make this. And I was like, yeah, I'm not a restaurant.
Yeah.
And it wasn't someone that I knew well. It was someone connected to Paul, but he hadn't seen in a while, kind of, right?
Okay.
And it was one of those where I was like, huh. And 6 months later, we sold the house, because all of a sudden, then once you see it, you can't unsee it. I started to realize that because I like to do these things, if I didn't do it, people were like, where's the chocolate croissants? And you know what? But I set myself up for that.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean?
You should run an Airbnb. A bed and breakfast.
But then I'd have to do it.
I know.
But it is.
But at least you get paid for it.
No, that's true. Although, but the other thing is, I think for me as a guest, I would, first of all, I would clearly listen to what the hosts were saying, right? If it was like, hey, why don't you guys come for, a weekend? And it's like, to me, a weekend is I get there Saturday and I leave Sunday. So I would check and say, so if we got there Saturday, because for some, a weekend is Thursday to Monday.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you have to be. So I always go to the shortest time, unless, of course, they're really far away. And then, but then it's always, it would be like, okay, so if we're coming, here are the things, why don't you let us take you out for dinner one night? And why don't I make dinner for you one night? And why, you know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff, right?
That's a beautiful thing to do. My sister does that when she comes out. Usually it's, can I make something? And
she's a good cook.
She's a good cook, yeah. And we usually end up, something else usually happens. We're usually very busy when she comes out, but we'll end up cooking together. And
that's awesome, right?
Yeah, it is awesome. I have the interesting thing about the food thing. I have no problem if somebody says, hey, I'm allergic to this, I can't have this. My brother-in-law is allergic to eggs, so we make sure that whatever it's, and he doesn't have it's not anaphylactic, but he does need Benadryl,
right?
And it can be pretty
That's
nasty.
Boy, eggs are in so much.
Eggs are in everything, yeah. So we watch out for that. But when I have also seen people who are like, well, I'm not. I can't have wheat. I'm like, oh, are you celiac? Do you have celiac disease? No, I'm just off wheat right now. And I think, okay, that's your choice for whatever reason. And people go through. I've done it myself. I've been very, very complicated in my food requirements over various periods of my life. But I consider that my issue, not someone
Right.
else's issue.
Yeah.
Because I don't have any allergies. I
Yeah.
don't have any things that I
Yeah.
cannot eat.
Right.
I will just choose not to eat them if they're there. And
No.
but I'm not going to say, oh, can you make lasagna with gluten-free noodles?
Right.
No.
It's terrible.
It's disgusting.
Yeah. But, and you know, the other thing, like our friend Kaylee that we were talking about, Kaylee is gluten-free, and she's not celiac, but it bothers her, right?
Yeah.
I don't-
And there's levels of that, right?
Yes,
There's,
yeah, and
for sure.
But you know what? Kaylee never ever brings it up or says anything. I just happen to know. So and because Kaylee is never demanding, I do somersaults to accommodate, because when she comes over, she's like, "There's always something I can have here." Right, I'm good. Right, so I will always, when we make pizza, I get a gluten-free crust.
Yeah.
Right, because also she's not demanding it. But I had one dinner one time, and I had a person that wanted steak, a person that doesn't like red meat, a person that wanted everything to be organic, and a person who was gluten-free, and then I'm pretty sure I had a vegetarian. And it was like, so I was just like, we're going to get a bunch of pizzas with different things on it, and for the gluten-free person, I will make a gluten-free pizza. Because what else do you do? Like, I don't know what, I don't, that's unless you just give people a salad.
That's too much. That's too much. That's, well, and again, if it's reciprocal, then I would possibly feel different about it.
You mean how you don't make salmon? Because I don't like salmon.
You accommodate so much. Well, first of all, you cook so much more for us than we ever do for you. But that kind of thing, like if people are always coming to your house and you, like whether you say you set yourself up for it or not, you're a really good host. Like you like doing it, which is different.
I do like doing it.
You like doing it, but you don't like being abused about it.
No, and that's
right?
just it. I don't
And
like
you
being
do-
taken advantage of.
And yeah,
There are the dogs.
yeah. Where are they?
But it is interesting. So let's flip it. So being a good host to me is, sometimes it's the little things, like Roxanne and Ray had a house full, and so their daughter Megan came and just stayed over with us. She didn't spend time there. She just slept there. But you get a little bottle with some lemon in it for them, and you make sure there's a robe in case they have to get up and and they're uncomfortable while walking around in their pajamas. But it's just making sure little things, like we always have a book, one of your books that we get you to sign, right? Like those things are fun for me, right? And
Which my daughter would be like, oh, weird. Oh.
But that stuff is really fun.
You want to come up?
And then, but it's always like, like I will ask people, because some people are very specific about what they put in their coffee, right? And
Right.
I mostly drink my coffee. I put some soy milk in because I'm supposed to have more soy. But I usually drink coffee black. So I wouldn't even, so I'm always like, hey, what do you take in your coffee? Because I can get a little thing, right? That's okay. And coffee, I know coffee is important to me, so I'm okay if it's important to other people. But I think being a good host is also accommodating people that it's like, hey, if you want stuff to do, we can figure out the things. But if you want to just sit on the back deck, it's okay too, right?
Hi, Callie.
Oh my goodness, she
coming up?
wants up. Look
There
at how
we go.
cute she is.
Okay, this
She
is
looks
Callie.
like Toto.
She does. Oh, she totally looks like Toto. Yeah.
Okay, what are the things? So I would say, what's that saying? House guests and fish start to smell after 3 days. Right, so I would say, and for me, 3 days, unless it's family or somebody's coming from a long distance, and my friends Michelle and Stephen come and they've come before and stayed for a week or something, but
it's
they
too
go
hot,
out.
little girl. Too hot.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
but they they go out and do things. Come here, you can come with me.
Okay, go to Ruth.
Come here, come to me. I'll
Ruth
take you.
isn't
Come
too
on, you
hot.
want to come here? Come on up with me. Come on. She's afraid of me.
Okay, here. You go over to see Ruth.
Here, it's okay.
It's too
I
hot.
promise I won't hurt you. But
There.
I think for a guest, for me, 2 nights is the max, because also
Yeah.
we work, right?
Yeah,
And we have things
yeah,
to do.
yeah,
And
exactly.
hi, baby girl.
So
Hi.
I will say.
Oh, I'm getting kisses.
Oh, yeah, you will.
Hi, you're so cute.
When Megan stayed over at you, the next day she came over and she's like, "It's like a spa over there. They had a robe laid out for me. There was water. There was lemon slices in the water." She's like, "It's amazing." And
wanna come up?
and then you had chocolate croissants to
Oh, yeah,
for her
to send over, to
send
bring
over.
here.
She's like, This is amazing. And the bed is so
Oh, it's a
comfortable.
comfy bed. I have to say hi.
So
I've got them all now.
You may have caused a problem.
Hi.
Oh, see, look at him. Like this is
Isn't he
Finley.
sweet?
So look at his coloring. He's
So
blue
pretty.
merle with
Hi,
the
baby.
little
I
tan
know.
points. He's
Aren't
just
they great?
yeah. And they run like a little tandem together, like a little brace.
They're so funny.
of short-legged dogs.
They are. They're definitely short-legged dogs.
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to come here? Okay, so the other thing I have to explain, I'm still on the Kamala Harris thing, as you can see, and I have my pearls on. I didn't wear sneakers today because it's really hot. But I have, we
hot.
talked about it last week, but I have your little, I thought it was going to be more burgundy than red, but
Ooh.
it's, so
Oh.
here's Roxanne's present. I have a gray one.
Oh, look at that, people. Oh my goodness. Oh, I love it.
So that's us
I love
supporting
it.
the first
Oh, that's gonna be perfect for
woman president. I
Yeah.
think if we wear it on the cruise, we will get comments.
Yeah, we will get comments.
But I think
and we will. I love long sleeve, long because it's gonna
it will
be
be
cold.
exactly. And I
Can't even
think, but
think
I
about
do
it today.
think, I don't think most of the Trump supporters will know what I understand the assignment means. So I think it'll be mostly positive comments because I think it will be mostly women who are
Yeah.
like, yes, sister.
So you know what I found out today? I've been doing lots of social media
just
stuff.
look at how sweet.
He is just slightly drugged right now too because I'm going over to your place later and
Yes.
not bringing him, so
Yeah.
he can't handle being alone.
Oh.
Can
Can you just bring him and carry him around?
No, it's too hot.
Oh.
I lost my train of thought.
Oh,
yeah,
social media.
So I've been doing. It's been a
This is just for the
It's been a-
record. This is pretty much our life. What was I saying? That's it.
pretty much, yeah. It's been between finishing book 4 in my series and releasing book 3 in my series, because last Thursday was the launch date. And
Also
there's
winning an award in there.
I did, yeah. My book final got as the award person who called me said, "You won silver in the Olympics of this award." I'm like, I can live with that. So I've been doing lots of social media stuff and paying a little more attention than I sometimes do. And one of my favorite readers, William Harris, who might be actually watching this because he is a fan of ours, he posted this fantastic thing. And William, I know you've told me many times and I've seen it, but I can't remember where you live.
Oh, so she's on Advil right now.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, and there's apparently a much higher dose of Robaxin out there than I was aware of, because that's also what I have. It's not.
She doesn't
It's not
need
on
any
board
wine.
at the moment,
Yes.
but anyway, he posted this great thing with Kamala Harris and her running mate.
Tim Walsh.
Yes, and with something about how great this is, and I'm just like, oh, thank God,
Yes.
oh, thank God,
Yeah.
because I wasn't sure. Right, he's an older male, and
White male.
He's an older white male, and I know enough about him to know that to have a fairly good
Right.
sense of who
Yeah.
he is, and
But
that-
you never know.
but you don't. So anyway, that was delightful to see. Thank you, William. I wish I could vote with you.
This little dog. So cute.
He is
but
really
but
cute.
but you know, and I'm sure this is
Okay,
going to be a
watch
theme
this,
up to
though.
the.
Watch this. Oh, he's not bad because he's drugged. He's
Oh,
got
he doesn't
super
like
long
it?
nails.
Oh.
That is a dachshund thing. It's also a basset hound thing. They do not let you touch their feet.
Really?
Oh, you cannot trim their nails. If you go near them,
What happens then?
oh, they lose their mind.
But how do you trim them then?
So there's this little nifty thing, and I'm going to have to show you pictures because you won't believe it. It's a sling.
Oh,
that
I've
have you
seen
seen it?
Yes.
And it hangs
Yep.
up on a hook, and you put the dog in it, and they sit there with their little legs all sticking out, screaming and barking, and releasing everything that can be released from their body as that's happening, losing their friggin' minds,
Poor
and
monkey.
you trim their nails,
Oh, you
and
poor
then you
monkey.
undo them from the sling, and they walk away as if nothing ever happened. And you're
That's funny.
counting the minutes left in your life because
Yeah.
it's so
It's too hard.
traumatizing. I worked for a guy years and years ago who had a basset hound, and he would bring the dog in. And basset hounds are big. They're like,
I had a basset hound way back. Oh my God.
there's a lot of dog there.
Yep.
And this one, and he's a veterinarian. He was a specialist in exotic animals, so he did a lot of zoo stuff. So he knew how to handle difficult animals.
Yep.
He's like, all right, guys, it's time to trim her nails, all hands on deck. And it would be strong arm, it would be sedation, and there would be massive cleanup afterwards. And
Wow.
she would be like freaking
Wow.
out. They just-
So that's interesting, and I'm trying to think because when I had his name was Basil, the Basset Hound.
Basil.
And when he was
so was the one that.
oh,
so was
that's
my.
funny.
So was my
It's
boss's.
it's a good name
It's
for a Basset
yeah,
Hound.
it is.
But his ears were so long when he was a puppy that he kept tripping on them. Also, his little
Yeah.
pee-pee was growing and
Yeah.
he wasn't, and he kept like his little pee-pee dragged on
It's
the
like a
ground
furrow.
bit.
It's like a furrow. He's like plowing the ground.
But you know what? I'm trying to remember about the nails, but I think because I walked him a lot, and
You
we're on
probably
city
didn't need
streets,
them. Yeah,
right?
didn't
City
need it
streets,
done.
because that's even here sometimes because
Yeah.
our dogs and these guys are. I'm grateful that they clip our dogs' nails, but I'm always like, hey, Paul, maybe like at least half our walk should be on the street, so it gets because we're mostly on dirt.
Yeah.
Right, but that's an interest. That's a very
And they do
interesting
have to
thing.
run a fair bit for it to happen. We used to, with one of our, with Luna, she's such a chaser. Our other dog, Michigan, he was all about the squash ball. So we had a dead end road at the time where we lived, and we would fire the squash ball boom, down that way, and he would run after it and generally overshoot it just enough so that he would have to turn mid stride.
Oh, so he
skid to a
was.
stop. His nails were never a
So
problem.
it was like he was filing his nails while he did
Constantly
it.
filing-
That's
constantly
cool.
filing his nails.
Okay, let's go back to 3 points.
Okay.
What makes a good guest?
What makes a good guest? Somebody who is thinking about the rules of the house. Not the rules of the house is the wrong way, but how does this house work?
The culture of the house.
The culture
yeah.
of the house, and I will fit into this culture.
Right.
So that's one.
Yeah.
I would say appreciation is another one.
Oh.
So you can get
Look at-
away
sorry,
with a
look
lot.
at-
Oh no,
we're
he's a
in
love bug.
Oh,
Like he's
so
a love
cute.
bug, and it's a good thing
Yep.
because
He's irritating.
he's, you know what, the amount of irritation you can tolerate is directly proportional to
How
how
much you love
adorable
them,
they
yeah,
are.
yep,
So
yep,
we can put up
you're
with a
so
lot
cute.
from somebody like him.
He's really cute.
So I would say
Okay,
guests
that's
who
true.
are appreciative,
Yep.
that covers a lot.
Yeah.
So even if they have special needs of some kind or another, when they recognize that you're trying to accommodate them, that goes a long way.
Yep.
And I would say bringing a bottle of wine never hurts.
Nope. Actually, that's a really good one. And so I think all of those. I think being able to say, "Oh, I'm good. I can go sit on the back deck," like not being so. Although the other side for my house, it's like you'll never find it in my cupboards because my cupboards are organized to me. So if you need something more than hey, the milk's in the fridge or the sugar's in that cupboard, please let me get it for you. And for me, it's like, I appreciate you want to help. If you want to help, I can put you over the counter and you can chop veggies or do something like that. But don't stand beside me while I'm cooking, because that makes me insane.
Oh yeah, or try to have a conversation with somebody while
Especially if you it's one thing if you're standing there, chopping peppers for a Greek salad.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a different thing if or maybe even I could do it if I was stirring risotto, because you just stand there forever.
Yeah.
But it's like if you're trying to cook something, it's hard to there have been times that I've wanted to be in the conversation and it would be you and Della talking, and then I'm like, oh God, I don't know if I put 3 cups of flour in this or 4.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's easy to get involved in, and then it's like crap.
It's kind of so that's interesting because I cannot cook and talk at this. I really can't do very many things and something else at the same time. I was a multitasker when my kids were small, and I think I used it all
Because
up.
that's what a parent has to be,
I
right?
think it's just
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's
There are some
something that-
things you have to pay attention to.
Yeah, and
but
so
that's
I
good.
cannot cook and talk at the same time. I can barely chop and talk. Like I got to get everything done before anybody shows up for dinner.
See, people are different about
And
it.
this is so for me. I like to serve casseroles when people are coming over for dinner. Like lasagna is a good one. It's time intensive ahead of time, but once it's done, you just throw the garlic bread, throw the salad together, and it's done.
But that's actually a good. So we'll do 3 points about being a good host, right? And I think that's a good one. One of the things that I think I've learned is because I like to do really interesting, cool things. Like I like to do these
Elaborate.
yes, and these crab stacks with layers of
Oh.
avocado, and they're beautiful. And
You've
they're great.
seen you've seen it on social media. You've seen her presentation of stuff. Like I'm like, there it is. There's your dinner.
But-
It'll be delicious.
but
And
I-
she's like, oh, but it's fancy and it's artistic and it's beautiful and it's going to win an award somewhere when somebody notices.
in some other universe.
Like it's amazing the amount tweezers. You have food tweezers. I'm like, tweezers are for eyebrows and eyebrows.
Yeah, eyebrows. But I
They're
do.
not for
I
food.
have a set of food tweezers, man. But the other side of that, I think, what I'm learning is it's more about being with the company. Then
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
want to, everybody that would come here is also perfectly capable of going to a fancy restaurant if they want to.
Yes.
Right.
Okay,
Like the other side
too
is
hot. I can't handle it.
like
Too
is
hot.
it's more important. Like even and I'm trying to wrap my head around getting to the Parisian. Nobody in Paris bakes their own baguettes.
Okay, you can come up here and sit beside me.
Because they're on every corner. They don't waste their time trying to do something that they have great access to.
Yeah.
And that's something I'm learning as a host. I think as a host, it's also to make sure somebody feels comfortable enough if they get up in the middle of the night and they're hungry. They feel free to go, grab something from the fridge, or here's where the apples are, here's where the cheese is.
Yeah.
If you want to make toast, here it is. And also maybe don't barbecue shrimp at 3 a.m. No, that has never happened. But so what else is a good host? But a good host also makes it easy for people to leave. You know what I mean? You've had breakfast in enough time, and I think I learned this from the Sunshine Coast, where everybody was always running for a ferry, right? You wanted to make sure that they could get to where they needed to get on time.
Yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one. I really blew that one time when I had some friends over for a little writer retreat, and I think I took a wrong turn getting back. One of them was flying out to the East Coast, and one of them was flying down to California, and so I had to fly back to YVR and get them there on time, and I'm pretty sure I took a wrong turn somewhere because I was talking in the car. We were visiting, and Vancouver Airport is just, for a while I had on my website, you'll always get lost coming out or going into the Vancouver Airport. Just accept it.
Yeah, it's true.
And I'm a little better about that now, but
yeah, and now they haven't changed it for a while. But when they were doing construction, it was challenging.
It's just crazy.
Okay, so the other thing that I would say, let's tell guest horror stories, but I'd have to think about a few. So we'll do that another time. So the other thing we've been talking a little bit here is about social circles, and how it's an interesting thing living in a community, because we're not a typical strata.
No.
Right? Because we have a social committee, right, and we have a gardening committee, and things overlap. Right, and their social committee puts on events and does stuff where everybody can go, and sometimes it's a fundraiser for the community, and sometimes it's just part of our strata fees that we do stuff. But then there's events where there are social circles within this community, right, and some overlap, and some really don't. But it's just an interesting thing to me when I think about being a good host. I often think here about being a good community member, and it's always really challenging whenever, like we do next weekend, Roxanne. We have the moon dance, and we'll put up the invite and stuff, and this is our 4th annual. Look at how cuddly this guy is. But it's always, who gets invited and who doesn't.
And we usually have somewhere between 30 and 40 people in our backyards, between the two backyards.
Yeah.
So it's a fair bit of space.
It is.
And it's all outdoors because we're not having that many people inside.
No.
They don't get to come in at all. They can come in to use the bathroom.
Washroom.
That's it.
Baby.
But the community started in phases, and they refer to it, construction wise, as phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, in how they had to sell the lots in order for the developer to finish the community. So we both moved in phase 3, and phase 4 was completed last year, I think. So it's a relatively new community, but it started fairly slow.
Yes.
And then, because there's a certain momentum that has to happen with selling places like this, because we are a bit out of the way. And then COVID happened, which shut things down. So it kind of grew a little bit unevenly. And so the phase 1 and 2 people were here in a time where the clubhouse wasn't done. It's the clubhouse, but we call it the barn.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a lot of landscaping that was completed. Yeah. The pickleball court wasn't done. The pool, I think, was done fairly early. But so they ended up becoming very close to each other, and they did a lot of things together. And then, and we've been fortunate to be embraced, but they have their inner social circles, and then there's a wider one of the people, exactly, right? Because they were the social committee, because that's all who was here, that's all who lived here. And then as the community grew, and as more people, and we have a few people who are here on a part-time basis. Most of the community lives here. is full-time, but some have it as a summer place or a weekend place. And they tend to be a little less engaged
Involved.
with the community.
Yeah.
But as the community grows naturally, once you get to 129 homes, not everyone is going to be part of everything.
No, and you don't. There's not always a fit, right? Like that's just human
There's
nature.
nothing wrong with that.
No, but it's human. But the other thing is my interest thing always is because we try really hard to be inclusive and stuff. But at some point somebody's going to be like, when you have your own private events, somebody's going to be left out because no room, and also not everybody wants to have a big event.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what we have the social committee for. But it's always really interesting to me because we walk by often and see people, and they've got a bunch of people from the community, and maybe they all hike together, or maybe they all play pickleball together, or maybe, they do stuff. And when I walk by, my response is usually, oh, isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
It's not, why wasn't I invited? Right?
Totally.
But the flip side, like even for, we live right next door. Oh, handsome. Hang on. Do you want to go down?
I think he's
a
feeling
bit
his
dopey.
trazodone a
Do you
little
want to
bit
go?
now.
Do you want to go lay down, buddy? Okay.
See, now he's made friends with you.
Yeah, but we live close to each other, and we have separate friends, right?
Yeah.
Like, you guys are having people over tomorrow, and we weren't invited. Just saying. But you know what I mean? Like, but the thing is, human beings are not one friendship set dimensional.
Yeah.
In my mind. And I think one of the challenges sometimes is that everybody makes an assumption that they should be invited to everything, and that feels a little entitled to me.
Oh yeah, that's a problem for me big time. I mean, we all have, I think of it as a four phase Venn diagram. Right? Like, so in this community, 4 phases of development, four groups of homes that came up at similar times. And, 1, 2, 3, 4, there's some overlap with all of these. And in the center, there's an overlap with everyone. And it's a small group.
Yep.
And that's the group that gets together for everything. When the social committee puts on something for the entire community,
Yep.
not the entire community goes to it.
No.
There is not something that everyone goes to. There's too many people.
Well, and there's always timing, and there's also, there was recently there was a thing where they had an Elvis thing, and apparently people had great fun. It's not my thing.
It's not my thing
right?
either.
And so it's like, so you don't go, but it made me think about, sort of, as we were talking about, it's like how society works. And we have, so when we do the moon dance, we have our circle that, we go to each other's homes for dinners or for drinks or have happy hours together and stuff. And they are absolutely invited. And then we try to invite others, right?
And every year we try to invite somebody who's never been here before.
Yeah.
And we have had quite a few new people move in lately, resales and that sort of thing. So we always extend an invitation to the people that we've had some kind of contact with.
Yeah.
So if we've never met them, talked to them, don't know anything about them, we don't know to invite them.
Yeah.
But if we've had any, and we're very friendly when we walk with the dogs, it's, oh, hi, especially early on. Now most people have been here for a while, but, oh, hey, when did you move in? How are you liking it here? And have you met people?
Do you have any questions?
Yeah. And if we've had a good interaction with somebody, we are likely to invite them and hopefully bring them into another, expose them to more people.
But that's where, so our inner circle gets an invite, and then that's where all the names go into a hat, right? Because we can't invite everybody we'd like to.
Yeah.
But the other side is that for me anyway, there are people that just aren't a fit. And it wouldn't be comfortable to have them because
you don't have to like everybody,
Ruth.
Well,
that's just,
and there's nothing wrong with that.
No, that's just it. And there are people here that don't like me. You know what I mean? So it's like, because you don't have this, if you're not sharing the same values and approach to things, why would you force yourself to socialize because you live within a block of each other?
No,
it doesn't make any sense. But I was thinking about it because it's like, when you go to work functions, sometimes work functions are, kind of mandatory. And I was thinking about, I was comparing it, and it was like, so you would do the same things as you would invite the people you like to your house, and then when there was a big work function, you hung around everybody and you said, hey, how you doing? Did the people that you really didn't have anything in common with, or maybe get along with, or you had opinions about actions that didn't meet your values. But it is an interesting thing when togetherness feels forced upon you, I guess.
You know what? Like you said, a work function is mandatory. You have to do it. In your home, you get to invite the people that you want, and you do not have to invite the people you don't want. And there's no need to be apologetic or make excuses about that. It's a private party. You invite who you want.
I told Roxanne the other day that she was really pragmatic and, straightforward, and I really appreciate that about her. And she was like, "What, me? Really?
What are you talking about?
You just did. But I think it is. But it kind of also goes. It sort of fits into being good host and hostess. It's like it's also one thing. Like if you're coming to somebody's house and you have a specific thing in common, you don't necessarily have to then do all the things together. You know what I mean? Like you can have people that you find really interesting to be at big parties because they're lively and full of beans and everything. It doesn't mean you'd want that in your living room on a Saturday night at 10 p.m.
Right.
And I think it's okay to say not everybody's cup of tea.
It's 100% fine. We do not have to say that.
You're so funny.
I have experienced after the very first moon dance that we did, I had a few people take us to task. What?
I think it was the second moon dance.
Was it the second one? I can't remember now how many we've done.
It's okay. She thinks we've done 12, so it's okay.
Yeah.
I know.
I get super sure about things, and then I'm like, I must never be sure of anything ever again in my life. And then I'm like, no, don't qualify everything. That's a woman's thing to do. I think, maybe, be definite.
Oh, she's funny.
This is my husband's rule in life. Right or wrong, I'm sure. And he is so super confident. And it makes me go like, well, maybe I was wrong. I'm not. And so I have also learned to be like, nope, the sky is green today. What's wrong with you? And
yeah,
so we have interesting. But so when I got taken to task.
Yes, so we had it, and so we did it, and we invited people like we just said, and
we had a great time.
We did have a great time, and then we got in trouble. Mostly Roxanne got in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, somebody said, there were feelings hurt and all that. I'm like, feelings hurt? What are you talking about? It was a private party.
Yeah.
This is...
Also, all of the hurt feelings were people that had never had us inside their house.
Exactly. You know what? If you want a relationship with us, extend
but
something
don't.
Also.
Please don't.
No, you don't have to...
No, like the other thing is, it's like, unless you're new here, if we haven't been inside your house... Or we haven't had time together at least, and that where we were like, oh, you're here, let's sit and chat. It's probably not going to happen now. You know what I mean? Like at some point you have to go, oh, you know what? We're on different paths. We see the world differently. Whatever it is. Like honestly, as much as I'm trying, and we did talk about it last time, how we have to find a way to engage with others who think differently than us. Like
no.
Trump supporters, we did say that, Roxanne, and it's in the show notes.
I know.
Anyway, but there's also a point when it's like, this is never going to work, so why the hell are we trying?
Well, there are certain things where you just have to accept that there's a difference here, and I respect your need to have group parties in a certain way, and you must respect my need to have things in a different way. So
but it does kind of go back to, and I swear to God, once the election is over and Kamala wins, but it goes back to her running mate Tim Walsh was talking about, and they were talking about women's reproductive health when he said, you might be doing something that maybe I wouldn't do it that way, but you know what we know in small towns? Mind your own damn business.
Totally.
And that applies to this is, you know what, if you didn't get an invitation, maybe instead of complaining you didn't get an invitation, maybe work on being a person people would want to invite. We'll have a little discussion whether we edit this part. I don't think we will, but we'll see. But the other side of that is, so let's say you. Well, not you, because you have to invite me now because we're we're family. But let's say our friend across the street, Julie, who we absolutely love, and Julie is a part of our inner circle, but she's a part of a couple of inner circles.
She does lots of stuff, and you know what? I don't lose my shit when she goes to a party. I saw just the other day. I saw her and JD walking down the street, all fancy with carrying something, and I'm like, oh, you guys have a great time tonight.
Yeah.
I don't know where they're going, but I'm not like, where are they going? How come I'm not invited?
Okay, just for the record, I mostly don't say that because when they're going out, I'm going to bed. So I'm like, see ya.
Totally.
Now I forget what I was going to say. But
Julie.
So if Julie has people over, right, and we're not invited, I don't think Julie's not my friend. But if she had you over and a couple of the people that we're all really close to, and I wasn't invited, I would give it a little bit, and then I might reach out and say, have I done something?
Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness, have I somehow offended? Like,
because there is an established
relationship,
social
and that's
structure
just
already
it.
there.
But even then, I think if I wanted to, let's say somebody, Jake and Jesse, who don't exist here, right? We're having a party, and it became an interesting party, and I wanted to be invited. I might find a way to be really nice to them, because I see on the thing that it's like they have a dog, and it might be like, oh, hey, did you guys know X, Y, and Z? Or, oh, you're new here. Did you know blah, blah, blah? Oh, you should come. Not that I want to get invited to the houses but you know what I mean? Like, I would make an effort to engage more instead of being accusatory.
And this is what I said early on. I said, if we have had any kind of positive engagement with you, your name goes in the hat.
Yeah.
But if we've never had any engagement with you,
or any positive engagement,
we've only had negative engagements with you, your name's not going in the hat.
You can tell who's in PR.
Not me. Not me. Thank goodness she's on my side, because sometimes I need her. Hey.
But I think this is a good conversation. Oh, you can't get
talk.
back.
You talk.
This is a good conversation to have.
Stop. It's enough.
Because I don't think we're isolated. It's a little different in this community, but I don't think we're isolated in this, because I've also had situations where people were coming to my house, and at the last minute they said, "Oh yeah, we ran into Jake and Jesse, and we're going to bring them, okay?" And I might not like Jake and Jesse, so it's like, what do you say then, right? It kind of goes back to being a good guest and a good host. Oh, you should see this. She's feeding them treats, and they're all lined up. It's very cute. I wish I could take a picture. But so I was just saying. So it's like I've had situations where somebody's coming over and they're like, "Oh, I ran into Jake and Jesse, and on the ferry or here, and we told me you're doing this, so they're going to come over." And I might not like Jake and Jesse, right? So it's kind of like,
that's a bit presumptuous.
Yeah, but the other thing is if you don't make yourself clear. If you don't put up boundaries, people take advantage. So it's one of those where it's like, goes back to being a good host or guest. If you're being a good host, invite the people you want to invite. If you're a good guest, don't bring other people with you. And if you're a good non-guest, don't ask why you weren't invited, because you might get an answer you don't want.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. We did have somebody crash our party last year, and I voted, because it's a egalitarian system here. There's 4 of us hosting this party, and so we all get votes and vetoes. And I said, hey, you know what? So let's actually invite them this year.
And to be fair, that person did come because we invited new people that actually were having some kerfuffles. They were having some challenges, neighbor challenges, really and I think he did come out of good intentions.
I think so too. Yeah.
But we're also really, after getting our hand slapped, we're kind of protective about the guest list because
I will not be bullied about that.
You should see the look in her eyes, you guys.
I will not be bullied. Do not tell me how to run my life. Do not tell me how to run my social thing. Do not try to manipulate me by making me feel bad, because that's what it feels like when somebody is like, "Oh, you invited everyone else and not me." No, we didn't invite everyone else. No, we invited a 25 to 40 group of people.
Yes,
and there's 129 friggin' homes here.
Yeah,
so there's a lot of people.
250 people at least.
Yes, it's a whole bunch of people that didn't get invited here. It's nothing personal. Well, sometimes it is.
Okay,
now it is.
Okay, but anyway. We would be interested in hearing what your experiences in this kind of thing in like, because I've done it too, where I mean, every time there's like, I don't know, our lottery gets up to $50 million, and me and Paul will sit there and talk about if we won it, who'd get money and who'd do stuff, and then it was like, well, if we give money to this person, we have to give money to this person, right? And it becomes a whole thing, right?
You know what that's about? That is a wedding invitation list. Right there, what you're talking about.
That's it. Right? Right?
Well, if we invite them, then we have to invite them. This is a thing in our family right now.
So I grew up, and we will move on. I promise you guys, we're just ranting today. And she's not even really drinking.
You guys love it when we rant. Just admit it. That's when we get really interesting.
But I grew up in downtown Toronto, which is a big city, and really, so I still have, there's a woman, her name is Diane Gray, and she's incredibly supportive, and she's on her Facebook page. And of course, I have my sister and stuff, but I still have people from back then. But you're in a city, you have the 5 houses around you, right? And so we never had this problem of, well, you've invited this person or this person, you know what I mean? You never had it, because if you were inviting people, you invited somebody who probably lived in another section of town.
Right.
And so there wasn't that. It's a small town issue, right? And which is what we really are in. It's a
We're
small
in a
town.
very small town here.
Right? Like,
that's exactly right.
It's a for me it's a different thing, because it's like, you know, and you know, honestly, living in downtown Toronto, it's like you go to walk the dog, it really didn't matter if, you know, you went out and you had like really ripped jeans on and a dirty sweatshirt and stuff. But here I'm like, oh God, I have to walk the dog. I have to change, because it's a small town and people see you. Okay, seriously, most times my socks don't even match. So
okay, but you know what? Like so there's an airplane. There's an airplane way high in the sky somewhere, and
Luna used to be a pilot in her other life.
also a first responder, I think.
Yeah. Also, she sees ghosts. Sometimes she just barks at things, and we can't see anything. But that dog's got some mad skills about seeing dead people.
Yeah. Ooh. We can really get her going sometimes when we try, but let's not.
We won't.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we going to move on now, or are we going to still rant?
I don't know.
We're going to move on.
I'll probably have a rant in there somewhere.
Yes. Okay, let's talk about the burnt toast theory.
Okay, tell us about
the burnt toast theory is, you know, those days when either you burn your toast or, you know, coffee spills all over the place or whatever it is, and you're late getting out, that some of those times are actually, or when all of a sudden you realize you have to get air in your tire and you pull off, that those are actually things the universe is stopping you from getting into an accident, or maybe arriving to work and something bad happening, or that kind of thing. And that made me feel a little comforted. And I don't think the universe does it all the time, because people get in accidents and all these things happen. But I was thinking about, so what if it's like that path not taken, right? The road not taken kind of thing. Like what if one day you came out of your house and you turned left instead of turning right, and when you turned right that day, had you turned right, you would have met your soulmate, caught somebody that you know doing bad things, found a better job. You know what I mean? Like those little things that happen. We don't know what that path is.
Totally. You have a slightly different outlook on things than I do, because I've grown a lot more jaded.
Look at her. She's got feisty eyes.
And I absolutely think I think of those things all the time, because there's a million choices each day that we make. When we get up, we do this, we do that, and every time we get on the freeway, I think about that, because, you know, sometimes Apple directs me away from an accident. Sometimes it doesn't tell me what road not to take, and I every time we invite our kids out, I think, are they? And then I hear about an accident. I'm like, oh, what kind of car was it? Ooh.
Yeah.
But I see it as much more random as opposed to directed, probably because I've stepped away from that idea of an external controlling structure of some kind.
Right.
But absolutely, those things, you do this and then this does not happen, or you do this and then that happens. It's a constant series of
chance.
Yes, no, plus chance, all those things.
But it is, and because I don't think we have a prescriptive, you know, I know there are people that are think this is your path, and you know, and that is not, because, you know, my belief system believes that there is an energy, I don't like to say higher power, but a something, but also, you know, I do not believe that that my time is, it might be biologically timed in, right? But I don't believe like it is timed in that it's like I'm going to fall down the stairs. You know what I mean?
Right,
That kind of
right.
like
You don't think everything is predestined?
No, that's
Yeah.
thank you. But it is also like I often wonder because every once in a while there's little things that happen where it's like, oh my goodness, if I hadn't, and sometimes it's like something as simple as if I hadn't stopped to throw money in that guitar player on the streets or to give a homeless person, right, hang on, we're supposed to say it a different way now, a person who is experiencing homelessness because they are not, that is not their identity.
True. Yeah.
But to stop and talk to them or something, and then all of a sudden you see and there's like a car goes speeding through a red light, or you know what I mean? Like there have been enough times where it's like, huh. And for me, and maybe it's how I see the world, it's I've typically been delayed by acts of kindness. You know what I mean? So it's like one of those where it's like, so if all that does, if that means nothing, and I'm just reading a pattern into something that's not there, if it makes me be more proactively kind, that's an okay thing.
Humans are pattern seeking machines.
Yeah.
It is how we make sense of the world. And I absolutely believe that. And even if the pattern is meaningless, it has meaning.
Right. Even if it's not based in any reality.
Even if it's not governed by anything else, we are seeking patterns and we take comfort in that, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No, and if the outcome from that is I go out of my way more often to speak to somebody who's on the street, because if
it changes your behavior in a positive way,
what's
wrong
like,
with that?
But that's just it. Like, but it's an interesting thing when you think about that and you wonder if there is, if you have, because I have had times, and I mean maybe it's just spidey sense, and it was is it Seth Godin who did Blink, Malcolm Gladwell about that thin slice where you can get somebody like we've been talking about it joking because again back to politics because it's 85 days till the election, but Tim Walls is the guy in the bar that comes up and talks to you because you're being harassed by a creepy guy, and JD Vance is the creepy guy, right? But I've been places sometimes like with a bunch of friends drinking, and one of my friends is like, look, he's really cute, and it's like, you're not leaving with him, right? Because you just get a spidey sense. Now is that basic human, you know, the spidey sense thing that you get, is it because somewhere we're hardwired to see danger on some level, or is it like an angel whispering in your ear, it's like, don't do it, man?
So children and the vulnerable have a greater sense of that instinct because they need it to survive.
Right.
So the powerful don't need it, don't have it. So they don't have that
that's
instinct.
interesting.
So primarily women, and especially women who have learned or have been in or maybe grown up in a culture where they have not got power, they are disenfranchised in some way, which is almost all of us in some way.
Yep.
Have those instincts honed. We are largely enculturated to ignore them, but we have learned those things for a reason. And we have learned those things because those instincts kept us safe. So children that learn to tiptoe around, they learn to read a face. They learn to read the line of a shoulder of somebody who's, it is he. Typically it's a he, but often it's, and for children, it's their parents, right?
Yeah. It's the authority
Is
figure.
mom mad? Is mom mad? I'm going to pay attention to this.
Right.
Because it is going to affect you.
Right.
And so you learn as a
where
child.
You don't feel safe.
When you're not safe. And you learn what to do to be safe. And if you grow into that power, perhaps we lose some of that instinct. But I think for many of us who learned that early on, those instincts, whether we're told, oh, that's not polite, don't be mean to that person, or that's being rude. No. You listen to that instinct because that instinct is there for a reason. You learned it for a reason, and it is telling you something.
But you know what else? What I really like about where we are right now is that parents are now saying to their children and saying to anybody else is like, you don't have to hug anybody if you don't want to.
Yeah.
Right. But I think that
Yeah.
does speak to this, because it is one of those things where it's like, also, I mean, when I was fortunate enough to work in journalism, part of the reason I was good at it, because it wasn't because I was the best journalist in the world, but it was because I picked up on some unseen, mannerisms and all that kind of stuff. And I think some are more attuned, and I think for a lot of reasons, growing up, I grew up in downtown Toronto. You had to be aware, and it wasn't like
you learn body language, tone of voice, facial
Yeah.
expression. You learn all of the nonverbal communication cues that are telling you something. And when somebody says, "No, I'm really happy. I really, really like you,"
yeah.
you learn that the words don't matter.
Right.
The words don't matter.
But that's exactly, and that's, I think it also is what makes me good at my job as a communicator, because when I'm doing media training, if somebody says something and it's like, as a reporter, I'd call bullshit.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
and usually I have to say they're a little shocked because I say bullshit.
Yeah.
Because that's what reporters say. Right. And so they're just like, what? And it's like, you don't believe what you're saying.
There you
right.
go.
And there is some layer that of most humans, unless they've tapped out.
Yeah.
Right. Because some people, but I can remember, but then there's also, I also think there's as much as I work to see the best in people, and I do tend to be a little Susie Sunshine and see the positive thing. But I think for some, they turned it off at an early age, and maybe it was privilege, but also maybe some stuff was so hard they turned it all off.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
I can remember being in the bar with some friends, and one of the friends, and it was like, this guy had red flags all over, and I mean, they weren't even unconscious red, you know what I mean? It wasn't even like I was getting spidey sense. It was like, what did you say?
Yeah.
Right? And she was like, isn't he cute? And it's like, no, I think he's a freaking serial killer. Right?
Yeah.
And it was like, how do you not see this? But I think we get this, well, first alcohol, but the other side is, I also think we get this romantic idea, like some of the older romance books about the guy charging in and taking the thing, right? Like, well, freaking every fairy tale that was packaged for probably North America, right?
Sanitized.
Sanitized, right? Because like the Cinderella story, the real original one, is terrible. They chopped off their toes to fit in the freaking shoe and stuff. Like,
Yeah, they did.
right?
That would be a fun topic to explore more. The mythology of fairy tales and what they mean. Ooh, we'll put a pin in that one.
Well, put a pin here. I'm just going to write this mythology. But it is an interesting thing. And I mean, it's one of those. But there's also the other things where immediately you meet somebody and you're thin sliced, like you and I from the get-go. I mean, it takes time to build trust and stuff. But immediately it's like, okay, I think you're okay. Mm-hmm. Right? Even as we're both kind of suspicious. Look, she's already looking at me like she looked at me then. But you know what I mean? There are others where it's like, okay, I think you're good, right? But I am less confident in saying I think you're good than I am in saying, oh no. And that's interesting to me.
It's because there's a risk involved.
Right.
Right? There's no, you're playing it safe to say, ooh, I'm going to reserve judgment because I'm not sure.
Right.
I'm not sure. That is a safe way to play it. But when we have been taught to be polite or to love everyone or to accept everyone, without question until everyone is innocent until proven guilty, doesn't really work as a safety mechanism for most women.
No, that's true.
Right? So no, people should be people, yes, absolutely. You're open to new relationships, you're open to friendships or whatever, but you pay attention to those things. And when like you've said this many times, when somebody shows you and tells you who they are time and time again, believe them. No. Just believe them. There's no point in saying, oh, he's really cute, even though he just talked about, the wife he's got boarded up in the attic. Yeah. You know what? Red flag.
But that's just, but it is, your spidey senses are an interesting thing. And I do think it is honed into people that have been in vulnerable positions, right? Like, and anyone who's been discriminated against, and even I would say because I think even white males who aren't built like Jason Momoa, you know what I mean? Like it's one of those where it's always like, what am I getting myself into, kind of thing. And I think but it is a really interesting thing because that's a powerful tool if you can manage it, right?
The intuition thing.
Yeah,
absolutely, it is, and it's somewhat indefinable. You're looking at the mass of data coming at you, and you're sifting,
and it's all
it's unconscious.
It's like
and there's nothing wrong with it because it is your body telling you safety, no safety.
So it's interesting. So way back in the day when there was a group of us, there were probably about 10 of us in total, but 4 of us who hung around a lot, and we'd go to a bar, and you know, I was reasonably attractive. I was always the little chubby one. The other 3 were beautiful, right? Like freaking like very, very different styles and stuff, but beautiful. And I was like their human lie detector at the bar, because we'd be standing at the bar and they'd be talking, and some guy would come up and talk to us, and you could tell who he was interested in, right? And he's talking and blah blah blah, and then they would go dance and come back, and they'd be like, so, and I was like, wife, this because and so we used to joke around, because there was it was like tarot card reading but without tarot cards.
Wow.
Right? And it was like I was like a bit of a party favor, because then it would be like, but then if there were girls around you, or we'd be in the bathroom discussing it, and then other girls would be like, can you come sit at my table? It was so much fun. And you know what?
You would have terrified me back then, but also I would have loved to hang out with you. That would have been fun.
But it was...
We're kind of past that now, I think.
Yeah, but it was also like, I don't know, 80% of the time I was right. Because then it would be like, so there was times when it was like, yeah, come on, no way. And they'd date them, and it's like, oh, you were right. Right? And it was like one of those, but it was just... There is, whatever it is, and I actually think it comes from my mom, who was really, really good at, she was really good at reading people who needed something. You know what I mean? Whether it was a kind word or it was like just for her to fuss over, like it was always on the, but it was like, but it was one of those really funny things. I couldn't do it for myself. I could do it for them. No, well, because you're clouded. It's like,
oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Just like you kind of can't, like, some people can read their own tarot cards. I can't. Because there's a reason I'm in freaking PR.
Yeah. Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah, I'm just thinking back too. I've had a few unwise relationships way back in the day. Yeah, and you'd think that, but looking back now, I think, oh, the signs were all there.
Yeah,
the
hindsight's a whole different thing.
There. And yet I was as much of a mess and looking for things that maybe I shouldn't have been. So, you know.
Oh my gosh, we're at 120. We have to finish. We talked a lot, man. Okay, hang on. I do have to say we have to do really quickly because I'm really obsessed with this.
I love this one.
So when you think about courage, right? Let's talk about this, because we always think about like that courage is like being the lion. And honestly, it's easy to have courage, the courage of a lion. They're gigantic and have claws and no natural predators. Although I think elephants might be a predator. But to have the courage of a guinea pig, a 2-pound meat potato with zero offensive or defensive abilities that will scream at an ape 1,000 times its size if their lettuce is too wilty, right? Like, but it's true. But
did you ever have guinea pigs as a kid growing up?
I think we brought them home from school.
Okay.
I don't remember them screaming like that.
Oh, I never had them. I always wanted one, but we had them in school too. They absolutely make weird noises, and they're very assertive in that way. But you're right. They're a 1-pound meat potato.
and they got nothing to back up the scream, but sometimes but it kind of goes back to what we were saying. Sometimes the scream courage, is enough.
Yeah.
Right? And that's just it. But I think we should all act like guinea pigs. Right? And not take any crap. And also it's like, don't accept wilty lettuce and tell the people, which is kind of what you were doing when we talked about the community thing. But I think we should all take the symbol of a guinea pig as our spirit animal. I don't think we're allowed to say that now, because I think that's disrespectful. The guinea pig as our as our mascot.
Yeah.
Right? But I thought that when I read that, it was like, because you don't have to be the biggest, toughest thing in the room.
Yeah.
Right? Because honestly, the other thing is, somebody's really pissing you off. Step on their foot really hard and say, I'm so sorry. That's what a guinea pig would do. Okay, what are we grateful for, Roxanne?
Oh boy. Well, this week I've been very grateful for muscle relaxants.
Drugs.
And you know what? I've had 5%, no, 0.5. What is the...
It's 5%.
It's a 5% because I'm absolutely feeling it. Like I'm feeling walloped upside the head. And that's me.
How much is wine, though? Maybe I'm wrong.
12.
Oh, okay, so it's half.
Half? Oh, I thought it was less than that. Oh, well, maybe that's a bad idea. Anyway, I'm feeling it. It's feeling fine. So I'm grateful for chiropractic and modern medicine, modern pharmaceuticals. What are you grateful for?
I'm grateful for the fact that I had to walk around because my dogs would howl if they knew I was here, and there's too many dogs here. And I saw your zucchini plants, who are bigger than mine. But you don't have zucchinis yet either, so I feel
don't.
better.
Oh, I actually do. Some of them, well, they're this big, like they're super
but
tiny.
that's okay.
So I don't know if they're going to make it, but they're starting.
That's good. But it's just been a late year, I think.
Yeah. Some people have zucchinis, not us.
Not here.
No.
That's okay. Also, I'm grateful I'm making fried zucchini blossoms
I'm so excited.
Stuffed with cheese and things tonight.
I'm so excited. And I got a cool salad coming with my tomatoes and my cucumbers.
See?
That I picked.
We're farmers.
Farmers, man.
Okay.
Yep.
All
anyway,
right.
Thanks for being here, you guys, for putting up with us.
So I look forward to this. Do you?
Absolutely, I do.
It's fun. It's fun to know that we're doing this with you guys, even though we're doing it and you're not here. So we'll have to do a live one soon.
I got way behind this week between, being huddled on the floor in the fetal position, unable to get up, and then
she was hurt.
And then this is a bad one, and also being aware that my deadline is ticking closer by the day, and I actually sent it in to my editor because they're pushing me even harder now, right? And they're like, oh, actually, you do need more time. She saw it in a bad state, and I think she's like, oh, let's stop pushing her. She needs some time.
It's a complicated wrap-up of 3 other books, right?
So today, though, I was like, oh, I can't wait. This is fun.
It is fun.
This is fun, you guys.
Yep. So we're happy that you're here. Please share this. We're going to, come September, we're going to start pushing it out so we can build our community by a bit. But we really want to find like-minded people, which we didn't talk about here, and we're going to, right? The next time is what like-minded means. Because it doesn't mean living in your own bubble. Nope. But anyway, thank you. And what do we want more of, Roxanne?
More happy hours. What do we want less of, Ruth?
Less bullshit.
And on that note,
have a good weekend, everybody. Bye.